Hi there, in this video we're going to discuss the best chess openings for beginner players. In my opinion, these openings should serve your goals the best way. So the main question is what you want to achieve. Obviously you want to win a game, but in my opinion the primary goal should be different. So as a beginner player you should be willing to learn as much as possible. You want to get to know basic chess principles and different types of positions. You want to practice all that and to reflect on that, so to understand what went wrong and what went right and why. So there are different options here, there are different combinations of openings you can try. So I will share my personal view on this topic and recommend you 3 ones. So let's start with open games. I would recommend to play Italian game. So after moves e4, e5, knight f3, attacking the pawn on e5, and knight to c6, protecting it, I would recommend to develop the bishop on c4. And from here we can enter different openings, but the most popular reply is something like bishop c5, and here you can start the Italian game with the c3 move. So what is the main idea behind playing this opening? Well, first of all, here you have absolutely clear goals. By developing the bishop on c4 and developing the bishop on c5 with black, for example, we can see that both sides start attacking most vulnerable points at the beginning of the game. They are f7 and f2. We can also see that both sides quickly develop the pieces and fight for central squares. So within this opening, you will learn basic principles of chess, so quick development, fighting for the center, knowing what the initiative is, so how it is important to play active moves and so on. So these things are super important for every beginner chess player. And I want to tell you that it's not that you have to play this with either white or black. Just try to do that with both colors. In that case, you will have a bigger picture, easier, and you will learn much more. So this is the first recommendation. So normal development here is something like d4 at some point for white. For black, it is again a quick development with knight f6, probably d6, supporting e5. Both sides try to castle as soon as possible to make the king safe, and so on. So the next recommendation would be from the family of closed openings. Let's have a look at it. As for the closed openings, I would recommend to play the Queen's Gambit, again with both colors. So it is about playing d4, d5, c4, and then, for example, e6. So here we enter one of the fundamental openings, which has a long history. It's proven to be playable for both sides. And what is the major feature here? Position tends to be closed for a long time, which means that the development is still important, but the super fast development is probably not the major goal here. What's important is to find the optimal positions for all the pieces for the future fight. And the future fight is mainly about the center and the queen side. So it's not about the attack against the king. In the majority of cases, it's more about finding some strategic weaknesses in opponent's position, and the main idea is to try to use them. So here you learn some strategy, you learn positional chess, you learn some maneuvering, and you can enter various positions that are very important for your general understanding of chess. So I'm talking about positions with isolated pawns. So for example, sometimes we can have this pawn structure with the isolated pawn on d4. This may be also the position with hanging pawns. So I'm mainly talking about this sort of pawn structure. So we can see that pawns d5 and c5 are kind of separated from the rest of the pawns. Also very important strategic pattern. And also I'm talking about so-called Carlsbad pawn structure, which usually arises when there is some sort of this exchange. And then at some point we have pawns placed like this. So this pawn structure is pretty static. and you will learn how to change the things. So normally white tries to do something on the queen side or in the center like this, and black is trying to compensate that with some active play on the king side. So it's also very interesting and very insightful in my opinion. So this is my second recommendation. Once again, don't forget to try this for both colors, white and black. In this case, you will learn it in a much better way. And now let's get to the third recommendation, which is somewhere in the middle between closed and open games. So in this case, I'm talking about the French defense, which comes from the family of semi-closed or semi-open games. So it is e4, e6, d4, and d5. So why it's important to practice French defense with both colors? Because in many cases, you get pawn structures like this. So when everything is kind of fixed and you're playing pretty much closed positions, but not that close, so still you have a lot of space for your pieces. And it's really important to learn how to play with pawn chains, in my opinion, because it's not the only opening where we have a pawn chain, and understanding the strategy of positions with pawn chains is simply vital for every chess player. So sometimes you can do something like this, and in many cases you may get even this pawn structure. So as you can see, the pawn chain is expanding here, which means that both sides have some perspectives on the queens and kings flank. For example, black having this advanced pawn on c4 will try to play b5, a5, b4 with pawns, and white will try to do the same on the king side with pawns to f4, g4, and f5. And the question is, who is faster, who is better prepared for this development, who is better at maneuvering, because as we can see, position is not that dynamic, and although plans are obvious, but well, the efficiency of this play on the queen and king side depends on the proper maneuvering and proper preparation of these attacks. So positions with pawn chains, kind of semi-closed, or you can even call them closed positions, are also very important for every chess player, and you will learn a lot playing it with white and black. So these were my recommendations for beginner players. As I said, I guess best openings should serve your goals, and as I said, there are many different options. There are many different combinations of openings you can try. Everything is very individual. So if you have other opinion about what opening should be played by a beginner player, don't hesitate to share it in comments. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and see you in other videos. Thanks for watching.